In the previous lecture, we discussed about common source amplifier. We saw how to intuitively derive poles and zeros for some simple MOS-based circuits. We said any MOS-based circuit can be represented as a transconductor of value Gm times Vi and a resistor Rout in parallel with it, as seen at the output terminal. So the gain of this circuit AV can be written as the transconductor will be frequency dependent. Output resistance can also be frequency dependent, or I can write it as Z out of S. And we said that if you find the poles of either the output impedance or the transconductance, that's equivalent to finding the poles of the overall amplifier itself. We took an example of a common source amplifier. We considered a load resistance RL. In the first case, we assumed that now if you see RL parallel is CL is an impedance combination. So this is Z of S. So this you can treat it as Z out of S. And we know when you have a resistor, so I'm ignoring lambda equal to 0, which means R naught is infinity. I'm ignoring channel length modulation. So we saw how to find pole of a parallel RC circuit. If you have R and C in parallel, then you can directly say the pole will occur at 1 by CL equals minus RL, or the pole location will be minus of 1 by RLCL. So remember I said S is, when you write it in S plane, we write the sign of the pole as well. Generally we write omega p, which is in radians per second, will just be 1 by RLCL. So this is your location of the pole. Now you also know the DC gain happens to be minus of GMRL. So minus of GMRL, since there are no zeros in the system, we said the transfer function will be 1 plus S by omega p. For a left of plane pole, it will be 1 plus S by omega p is S RLCL. That's it. So now we wrote the transfer function for this system. Okay, we were able to write the transfer function for the system with a pole and a DC gain of minus of Gm into RL. Okay, so that's what we saw. Now, what change did we notice when we included R naught? What was the change in the expression? What changed? Did the DC gain change and the pole change? R naught just comes in parallel with RL, so replace RL with RL parallel R naught. That's it. So when I replaced RL parallel R naught, your DC gain reduces slightly. Right? If your resistance reduces, DC gain reduces, divided by 1 plus S RL parallel R naught into CL. Now look at this expression. Here your pole becomes 1 by RL parallel R naught into CL. See, RL parallel R naught will be smaller than RL, which means your pole increases. Your pole actually increases. And gain, since it is GM times RL parallel R naught, so this term is less than RL, so the gain reduces. Now, interestingly, if you notice, the gain reduces by a certain factor, and the factor is given by GM RL into R naught by R naught plus R naught RL. This is the factor by which your gain reduces, and pole increases by the same factor. So RLCL into R naught by, so I can write it as RL plus R naught by R naught. So now if you see, pole has increased and gain has decreased by the same factor. Therefore, the product of gain A naught times omega p, which we called it as the gain bandwidth product, GBW, remains the same. That is simply equal to Gm upon CL. It's simply equal to Gm upon CL. It is independent of RL and R naught. This is actually, we will probably see later, the significance of this term gain bandwidth product. It's a very important term. It tells you the maximum speed with which your output can raise. So generally, how do you see your system raise? How do you see the performance of the system? Is that you apply a sudden step input. You apply a sudden step input of magnitude 0 to delta V. So what will happen? Your current will change suddenly. That will be Gm times delta V. So now, since there is a sudden change in the current, which path will the current take? Which will it flow through the resistor or will it flow through the capacitor? Current is changing suddenly. When a current is changing suddenly, capacitor impedance is extremely low, right? Capacitance is high frequency impedance will be 0. So all the current will flow through the capacitance. Okay, all the current will flow through the capacitance because whenever there is a sudden change in the circuit, a capacitor's voltage cannot change instantaneously. If the current were to flow through the resistor, then the voltage across the resistor will change instantaneously, which means voltage across the capacitor also changes instantaneously. That cannot happen. The thing with capacitor is, even if a current instantaneously flows through the capacitor, it takes some time to build voltage. So that's fine. So that is why whenever there is a sudden change in the circuit, capacitor will act like a short circuit. It just says that the voltage is across is 0. The change in the voltage across it is 0. So all the current will flow through the capacitor. So the voltage, output voltage will be minus of Gm by CL into delta V. So what you notice here is that into delta V, so this is a step input. So if I integrate it, I'll get delta V into T, right? Because your capacitor output will be integral of I dt. Integral of I dt, the current is Gm delta V, okay, 1 by C, it is 1 by C integral I dt. So you will get minus of Gm by CL into delta V into T, because delta V is a step input, integrated, you get delta V into T. So now if you see this function, your output is trying to initially, decrease with a certain slope. What is the slope with which your output is changing? dV naught by dt. I am just interested in the magnitude of it. If I take mod of dV naught by dt, what do I get? So can I say it is simply Gm by CL times delta V. Approximately, I am calculating the slope at origin. The slope here at origin, which will be Gm by CL into delta V. So for a given delta V, Gm by CL is the maximum slope with which your output is changing. Okay, so your output will change with the maximum slope given by Gm upon CL. Okay, this is the maximum slope with which your output can change. That's it. So this is what I wanted to convey. So this is captured in gain bandwidth product. Okay, so that's where the gain bandwidth product has its significance. It tells you the maximum rate at which your output can change. The product Gm by CL is an indication of how fast your output can change. Okay, so that's it. So now let's assume I give you an amplifier this way, wherein it's biased using a current source and you have a load capacitance. So now can you tell me pole, zeros and DC gain? What is the DC gain? Let's assume there is R0 present. R0 is present in this. What is the DC gain for the system? RL is infinity. DC gain is minus GMR0. That's your DC gain. And what's your pole location? Omega P. What's your pole? Pole is 1 by R0 C. Yes, CL. That's your location of the pole. So one of you are asking, why should all the current flow for sudden changes in the capacitor? So think about this. What is a sudden change? You should answer that question first. When I say the output or anything is changing suddenly, what does it mean? How will the circuit interpret a sudden change as? Okay? Yeah. So one sec. So one of you are asking me the pole. Pole, we will generally give you in radians per second. If the unit is radians per second, you can write it as, omega P is 1 by ROCL. So we don't really write the sign here. Okay, we just don't write the sign here. We just directly write the pole location. Yes. Yeah. So one of you are asking, what is this sudden change? Why does current flow through the capacitor for sudden change in the input? Now, first you should understand mathematically what does sudden change mean? What does sudden change mean to a circuit? So first, let me take this example. Let's say we have a sine wave which is oscillating with an amplitude A. The amplitude of the sine wave is A. So I can write this sine wave as A, or for example, I can write it as A sine omega naught t. So this is A sine omega naught t. Now, if I ask you, what is the slope of this function at t equal to 0, what will it be? What is the slope of this function at t equal to 0, what will it be? How will you find the slope? You will differentiate the function and find it, right? what is the slope at the peak? If I ask you what is the slope at the peak, what will be the slope of a sine wave? 0. Is that fine? Because your sine wave increases maximally at origin, it reaches a peak and then it returns back to a negative value. So slopes will be maximum at these 2 points. Whenever the sine wave is crossing the 0, that's where the slope will be maximum. So if I differentiate this function, what will I get? I'll get a omega naught cos omega naught t. And if I find the maximum slope of the system, that will happen when t equal to 0 given by a times omega naught t. So the speed with which your sine wave is rising at the origin is an indication of two things. One, it tells you the amplitude of the sine wave, and the second thing, it tells you the frequency of the sine wave. If the frequency of the sine wave is very high, then the slope will also keep increasing. Now, if I keep on increasing the frequency and I make frequency amplitude, I keep it fixed, I keep amplitude A fixed, but I keep on increasing the frequency and I make it infinity. If I make it infinity, can I see that this sine wave will become a sudden step? If I increase it to infinity, let A be the amplitude, I'll keep on increasing the slope. So for example, if I have two sine waves with same amplitudes, but different frequencies, let's assume the amplitude is the same, but different frequencies. Look at this guy. This guy has a higher slope. So I keep on increasing the slope till a point it becomes a sudden step. So for a sudden step function can be interpreted as a sine wave at t equal to 0. You can interpret a sudden step input as a sine wave at t equal to 0 because there is a sudden change with the frequency of, what will be the frequency of that sine wave? Output is changing suddenly. So the derivative will be infinity. So omega naught is infinity. So as far as the circuit is concerned, the capacitor is going to think that an infinite frequency sine wave is now applied to the system. What is the impedance of a capacitance? Frequency dependent, it will be 1 by omega naught C or 1 by omega C. This is the frequency dependent impedance of a capacitor. So suddenly, because the capacitor is going to think it's an infinite frequency input, it's going to offer a 0 impedance. 1 by omega C will become 0. So that's why all the current will quickly take, the current always has a tendency to take the path of least resistance. Since capacitor is offering 0, you cannot beat that. So all the current will flow through the capacitor. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So that's why the current flows through the capacitor. Now we have DC gain we found for this circuit. So this is the intrinsic gain, and this is the lowest location of the pole. Okay, because R0 is very high. Anytime you connect RL, R0 parallel RL decreases. So this is your lowest value of the pole, and this is the highest value of the gain. Now what is your UGB here? I mean, what is your gain bandwidth product, GBW, for this? Even if you don't load it, it will still be same, GM by CL. That's it. So it is independent of your resistive loading. Even if R0 is infinity, it will still be GM by CL. That's it. Now the next is, we'll look at a common drain amplifier. Gain bandwidth product is usually a magnitude of this term. So we'll just take mod of this and express it as GM by CL. That's it. Yes, it's a quantity. We just take mod of it and represent it. Yeah. Because we can compare different amplifiers with same gain bandwidth products. So that's why we just take mod of it and express it. Yeah, it's positive always. Now let's consider the next amplifier, which is a common drain amplifier. So I'm assuming there is only one capacitance at the output terminal. I have not considered any parasitic capacitors yet. Okay, we will slowly include parasitic capacitors and then we'll slowly add more and more complexities. Right now, I am taking the intrinsic device, that is, without any R0 or anything, or even just R0, and any lack and absence of any parasitic capacitors. Now we'll try to find poles and zeros for this circuit. So first, what is the DC gain of the circuit? The DC gain is, yeah, if I ignore R0, the DC gain is going to be 1. But if I consider R0, it will be GM R0 by 1 plus GM R0. Right? It will be GM R0 by 1 plus GM R0 if I consider R naught. That's your DC gain. The next step is to find the pole. Now, before I discuss how to find the pole, I said if you found out this condition, if Z out of S equal to 0 or infinity, you find out the poles of Z out, that is equivalent to finding the poles of the system. I said this works true for most of the MOS amplifiers. I'll apply the same approach. How do you find the output impedance of any circuit? You will short circuit the input, you will make the input go to 0, and then measure the impedance looking at the output terminal. So you have at the output terminal, you have a capacitance CL. What does it come in parallel? Looking up, what will be the impedance in the circuit if I consider R0 and all of that? It will be 1 by GM parallel R0, right? You're looking into the source terminal, so it's 1 by GM parallel R0. So the pole in this case will be 1 by GM parallel R0 times CL. This is your pole location. And your gain here, the intrinsic gain is given by GM R0 by 1 plus GM R0. So it will be GM R0 by 1 plus GM R0. This term R0 by 1 plus GM R0 is nothing but GM into 1 by GM parallel R0. This term R0 into 1 by GM R0 can be written as GM into 1 by GM parallel R0. So what is your gain bandwidth product? Can you tell me what is your omega P into A0? What's your GVW? It is GM by CL itself. So when I multiply pole and A0, these two terms will cancel out. And you will get GM by CL itself. Okay, the pole, the gain bandwidth product remains the same even for common drain configuration. But if you look at it, what is happening to the pole here? So can you compare it with a common source amplifier? What is happening? Let's look at the gains itself first. What is the mod of A0 of common drain amplifier? And let's compare it with mod of A0 of CS amplifier. If you compare the two gains, which gain is larger? CS obviously is larger. So if I take the gain of CS, the common source amplifier, and divide it by 1 plus GM R0, can I say I get A0 CD? So the common source, the common drain's gain is simply the common source's gain divided by 1 plus GM R0. It's a much smaller factor than the common source's gain. Now, what about the pole? Omega P common source. That is simply 1 upon R0 into CL. What about omega P common drain here? That will be 1 by GM parallel R0 times CL. So just let me make even a quick comparison. What will be the value of this if R0 is infinity? If R0 is infinity, what will be omega P CS, common sources pole? It will be a DC, right? It will be a 0. It will be a DC. And what will happen to the pole of your common drain? If R0 is infinity, it will approach GM by CL. Okay? So you can see the pole is finite and this pole is at a much lower frequency. So intuitively we can see that even if I assume R0 as infinity, common drains pole is going to be at a much higher location. I mean omega P CD, the common drains pole, will be definitely much greater than omega P CS. The opposite is true for gain. Opposite is true. The common drains gain will be much less than common sources gain. And interestingly, the common drains gain, let's compare common source now. Common drains gain can be seen as ACS, common sources gain, divided by 1 plus GMR0. So the gain reduces by a factor of 1 plus GMR0. And what happens to the pole? Omega PCD can be written as 1 by R0 CL. So 1 by GM parallel R0 can be written as R0 by 1 plus GM R0. So you will get 1 plus GM R0 by R0 CL. Pole has increased by a factor of 1 plus GM R0. It has increased by the same factor. So therefore, the gain into bandwidth product will be the same. So this is, I'll write it as GM R0. So gain into bandwidth product will be GM by CL. It is independent of R naught. You will get the same gain bandwidth product even for a common drain amplifier. Pole has increased, okay, but gain has reduced by the same factor. So if I graphically show this, okay, if I graphically show this, I can easily show for a common common source amplifier, it will look like this. So this is omega P CS, and this is, let me ignore, okay, I can write it as 20 log mod of ACS. Okay, I'm simply calling ACS as the intrinsic gain of, or highest gain of a common source amplifier. Now what happened is that this factor reduced by 1 plus GMR naught, but the bandwidth increased by 1 plus GMR naught. So the bandwidth has increased by 1 plus GMR naught, the gain has reduced by some factor, bandwidth has increased by the same factor. Okay, so this is how the circuit will look like. The bandwidth has expanded, but the gain has reduced. 3 dB bandwidth has increased, right? So the 3 dB bandwidth here has increased by 1 plus GM R naught times, if you consider R naught. That's it. So this is about, very briefly, I'm just discussing one by one: common source, common gate, common drain, and we'll now quickly finish analyzing common gate as well. Again, in this analysis, I've assumed RS is 0. I'm not even including load resistance. We'll add one by one and see how does the frequency response change. Okay, so that's what we will be studying now. We will study one by one. With source resistance, how will it change? With the load resistance, how will it change? That's what we'll study one by one. Now let's start with common gate amplifier. If you want to study common gate amplifier, so you'll have input applied at the source terminal. Again, I'm assuming only one capacitor at the load terminal. It will be CL here. So let's consider R naught only. I have not even included RL yet. Let's consider R naught only. So can you tell me, apply the procedure of short circuit transconductance? Apply that procedure and you can tell me what is the voltage gain. So first let's measure the short circuit current, ISC. If what will be the short circuit current approximately? Is that okay? It's GMVI. Okay. So if I ask you an exact expression for the short circuit current, what will it be? What will be the exact expression? So when the moment I apply VI, there are two paths for current. One is GMVI, other is, so you have GMVI plus VI by R naught. Okay, GMVI plus VI by R naught. This is your ISC. Next step, we will calculate the output resistance. How do we calculate the output resistance? Short circuit the input here, apply a test voltage at the output terminal, or the impedance looking at the output terminal. So what will be the output terminal? You're looking into the drain terminal. Okay, there is a capacitance to ground and resistance to ground. So what will be the output resistance? You're looking into the drain, gate and source both are at DC ground. So 1 by GM will not be there in the picture at all. So it will be 1 by R naught parallel CL. R naught parallel 1 by SCL. So that's nothing but two resistors in parallel, or two resistor and a capacitor in parallel. So this impedance can be written as R naught by 1 plus S CL R naught. So where is the pole for Z out? Is there a pole at Z out? If I ask you what is the pole at Z out of S, yes, what will be the value of the pole? 1 by R naught CL, right? Output resistance into capacitance, both are in parallel. So 1 by R naught CL. That's it. So that's the pole of your common gate amplifier. And the DC gain A naught is given by, you take this GM plus 1 by R naught. So you can write it as 1 plus GM R naught upon R naught. That's your GM multiplied by R out. So which will be R naught by 1 plus S CL R naught. So R naught would cancel out. What you're left with is 1 plus GM R naught upon 1 plus S CL R naught. Okay, so the DC gain times the pole. So now I can approximate this, I can very closely approximate it to GM R naught upon 1 plus S CL R naught. Okay, generally GM R naught is much greater than 1. So if I ignore it, I can approximate it to this. So how does it compare with common source and common drain? Let's first compare with common source. What was the common source transfer function? Common source, the transfer function ACS of S was minus of GM R naught upon 1 plus S CL R naught. 1 plus CL R naught. So how does it compare to the transfer function of common source? So this is a common gate of S. Only the phase is changed. That's it. There is only a 180-degree phase shift. That's it. There is no other change in the system. DC gain is the same. Pole location is also exactly the same. So the pole location in both omega p CS is equal to omega p common gate. This is for intrinsic transistor. I have not loaded it. If I don't load it, the pole is simply 1 by R naught into CL. That's the location of your pole. And what's the location of your pole in common drain configuration? In case of a common drain configuration, it was 1 plus GMR naught times larger. It was larger by 1 plus GMR naught times. So among the three amplifiers, common gate, common drain, common source, which one has highest 3 dB bandwidth? If I ask you omega 3 dB, which one do you think has the highest 3 dB bandwidth for the same load capacitance? Okay, look at the result. Highest 3 dB bandwidth means highest pole. Omega 3 dB is simply the pole location itself. So which one has the highest pole? Common drain configuration, right? Common drain configuration has the highest pole. Its pole is almost 1 plus GMR naught times the pole of common gate and common drain. But if you calculate the gain bandwidth product, GBW, it's more or less same for all the three amplifiers. For all the three amplifiers, it is more or less equal to GM by CL. It's the same. Okay? We have seen the 3 dB bandwidth is same for all three of them. I mean, it's highest for CD. It's in fact higher by a factor of 1 plus GMR naught. And the DC gain, A naught of CS, is approximately equal to A naught of CG. And of course, it is much greater than common drains gain. So A naught of CD, common drains DC gain, is much smaller than both. Much smaller than both AC and AG, ACG and ACS. It's smaller by a factor of 1 plus 1 by GMR naught. 1 by 1 plus GMR naught, I'm sorry. Okay, it's smaller by this factor. And pole of a common drain amplifier is higher by the same factor. Your pole is higher by the same factor. That is why your gain bandwidth product is same for all the three configurations. Okay, so we saw how to find poles and zeros. We saw how to compute 3 dB bandwidth for intrinsic amplifier at least. The next lecture, we will slowly start adding non-idealities. We will start adding load resistor and see how it behaves. Okay, so I've discussed three important results. If I add, just before we start analyzing it, if I add a load resistance RL, what changes do you anticipate? Intuitively, even before you analyze. So I've taken a common source amplifier with a load resistance RLCL, common gate amplifier with a load resistance RL and CL, and the third one is common drain with RL and CL. Okay, so I'll let you know that. So if I have these three amplifiers, what do you think will be changed? What will be the change? So can I simply say in all the three amplifiers, okay, all the three amplifiers, you can see RL will always come in parallel with R0. So here there is R0 here, RL and R0 will come in parallel. Even here, when I'm finding output resistance, I can approximately say that RL will come in parallel R0. So if RL comes in parallel to R0, the DC gain for all will reduce. All the stages. For example, ACS, which was equal to ACG, A0 CG, I'm writing about DC gain, was initially equal to GM R0, but now it will be GM into R0 parallel RL. So it will reduce by a factor of GM into RL by RL plus R naught. Okay, because of the load resistance, it reduces by this factor. And what happened to the pole locations? Omega PCS was approximately equal to omega PCG. This was equal to 1 by ROCL previously, but now it's going to be 1 by RO parallel RL times CL. This I can write it as 1 by ROCL into a factor RL by RL plus R naught. So that will go into the numerator. You will get RL plus R naught by RL. So this term is greater than 1. So if we see in both ACS and CG, the common source and common gate amplifiers, DC gain reduces by a factor of RL by RL plus RS, but the pole increases by the same factor. Because the pole increases by the same factor, the product of GBW, the gain into bandwidth product, will be same. What will be the GBW for both CG and CS? What will be the gain? It will be same as GM by CL. In fact, this is independent of your load resistance as well. Okay. Finally, we will see for ACD, common drain amplifier, the gain is given by GM into R0 parallel RL upon 1 plus GM into R0 parallel RL. That's your DC gain. And the pole location, previously it was 1 by GM parallel R0. Now it will be in parallel with RL times CL. Okay. So again, this can be written as, I can write it as 1 by CL into RO parallel RL multiplied by 1 plus GM into RO parallel RL. It can be written in this format. If I write it in this format, if you look at this circuit here, what is the GBW for a common drain amplifier? The DC gain is GM R0 parallel RL by 1 plus GM R0 parallel RL. It remains the same. These two terms will cancel out. R0 or parallel RL will cancel out. You will get same CL. So that's it. Even if you add load resistance, what changes is pole increases, because whenever resistances start coming down, poles will increase. Poles will increase, but DC gain comes down. So the product of both of them, gain into bandwidth product, remains the same. For all three configurations, here I've assumed there is only one capacitor of the output, and this gain bandwidth product is the common term for all three amplifier topologies. Poles are very different. For common source and common gate, poles are more or less at the same location. Approximately, if I assume R naught only, it is 1 by R naught CL. If I assume RL, it will be 1 by R naught parallel RL times CL. That's it. So these are the pole locations. They both are more or less same for common source and common gate. DC gain is also more or less the same. The difference comes in common drain configuration. Common drain inherently has much higher bandwidth. It can operate for a wider range of frequencies, but it will offer you a much lesser gain. Okay? So it will offer you a much lesser gain. So this is something we talk about when we discuss low bandwidth circuits. Low bandwidth circuits, whenever we talk about low bandwidth circuits, so circuits which are built using resistors and capacitors. I'm talking about only those circuits. In those circuits, this is a very important design rule. The gain into bandwidth product will always remain the same. So if I want to increase the gain of a system for simple low frequency circuit, you have to trade off the bandwidth. Okay, so you mean you get what I'm saying? If I increase the gain by a factor of 10, then generally it will turn out that your pole will reduce by a factor of 10. So I'll just take a very quick example. In some cases, we will see this is getting violated, but some simple single stage amplifiers work on this simple principle. If you want higher gain, what will you do? You can increase R0. Okay, as a designer, let's say you are increasing R0. If you increase R0, what changes? What happens to DC gain? No, what happens? DC gain increases and pole decreases. So the product remains the same. Okay. See, what do I mean when I say low frequency circuits is that when I say high frequency, I'm referring to circuits with inductors. Yes, when you add inductors, it has a slightly different effect. You can enhance the bandwidth without changing the DC gain. Inductors operate slightly differently. When you add them, you get some slightly different results. You can extend the bandwidth without obeying this result. Okay, but that's why I didn't include. I said generally when I say low frequency circuits, it usually means there are no inductors. Okay, see, when I say inductors are still used in some low frequency circuits, I mean we can't call them technically low frequency. Those circuits are called the power management circuits. Okay, so but I'm not referring to them. I'm referring to RF circuits. So RF circuits is where bandwidth can be increased by tweaking some inductance values and all of that. Right now, I'm talking about simple single stage amplifiers with a load capacitance. If you have to increase the gain, then how do you increase gain in a single stage amplifier? How do you increase the gain in a single stage amplifier? Okay, you increase by increasing your R naught. In a single stage amplifier, you can increase R naught and increase your gain. But if you do that, your GBW will remain the same. That's all I'm saying. If you want to increase GBW, what do you think can I do? If I want to increase the gain into bandwidth product, what should I do? Look at this expression. Generally, you don't have much control over load capacitance. Let's say you don't have much control over load capacitance. Then what will you change? Increase GM, right? That's the other option you have. And how will you increase GM? For a given overdrive, how will you increase GM? For a given overdrive, biasing current. That's it. For a given overdrive, 2 ID upon V overdrive is your GM. If you want to increase GM, keeping your overdrives constant, then you have to increase your drain current. So that's the way we attain. If you want to build a circuit with very high bandwidth, generally you end up burning a lot of power. Okay, so power is a very important thing. We will see later courses, we will see in an advanced course, we will see it has an impact on noise, it has an impact on linearity, all of that. If you want to have very good circuit, you end up burning a lot of power. Okay, so that's an important thing. So keep these points in mind. For if you want to, as a designer, if you want to maximize GBW, if you want to increase gain into bandwidth product, then you have to increase bias current. But let's say sometimes the design constraint is such that you can't increase power. If you can't increase power, you can't change bias current. If you can't change bias current, GM cannot be changed. Then for a given load capacitance, you cannot change your gain bandwidth product. Okay, you cannot change it. You have to live with it. So if you increase gain, you will be losing out on bandwidth. If you increase bandwidth, you will be losing out on gain. Gain will reduce, but the product of GBW will remain the same. Okay, see, that's a device solution. So generally, when circuit engineers work, they assume that a device is available to me. Using this device, what kind of circuits can I build? So that's why different engineers will work at different levels of abstraction. A devices engineer might work on a device level properties to give the best device possible to the circuit engineer. A circuit engineer will try to build the best circuit or a system using that device. Using the limited capabilities of the device, we will try to realize circuits. Systems engineer will try to build systems using these circuits in the best way possible, how he can put systems together such that the circuits give their best optimum performance. Okay, so engineers work at different levels of abstraction. What I mean is here, changing VT is something, but usually what happens is every technology, you have some flavor of devices available to you, which will come with lesser VT. They do come with lesser VT. So they are called low VT devices. They do come with every technology. Okay, so I'll stop at this point. We'll start our discussion from this in the next lecture.